to give us a blessing over our training tonight and our gathering.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Almighty God, we give you thanks for your goodness to us, Lord. We ask that you be here with us as we prepare ourselves to minister to our parish, Lord. We ask that you guide us with your wisdom so that we may be at the best service of the kingdom of God. And we ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Father. And again, at this time, I'd like to welcome each and everybody to our St. Stephen's initial training to reopen the masses. My name is Darrell Weisman. Y'all see me here with part of the Knights of Columbus here at St. Stephen's. Now we'll have a speaker going over part of our training. This is Chad. He's our Grand Knight at St. Stephen's. And Father Rodney will be here to appreciate what we say wrong, he'll correct us. So, okay. Starting this Sunday, as we're all aware of, we will be opening the doors to our initial Mass, opening up the church for Masses again. Starting Saturday evening, anybody who comes to the church willing, volunteering, or signed up, or scheduled to perform any of the operations of being either a usher, a lecturer, Eucharistic minister, Hatton, deacon, priest, you take any part of the Mass. Did I miss anybody on that? Altar servers. Altar servers, any part. Who? Choir. Don't forget that choir. And anybody who takes a part of the Mass will be required to do a few things prior to the Mass. One of them is we'd like to have you meet in the sacristy. These are where we're going to prepare ourselves for the Mass. In the sacristy, you'll find a stack of these papers that I have handed out here before you. Does everybody have a copy? We're going to run through this real briefly, real quick. You don't have one? Okay. There you go. Okay.
I'll get him.
Thank you, Paul. This one shows up. At this time, we will request that you please fill out this form. It tells us, your fellow parishioners, hey, I have been in town, self-quarantine, minimal exposure, or whatever it might be. Or you might have just got back from that cruise. You've been on a boat for a long time, you definitely fill one of these out. On the page right here, it's going to ask for your full name. Omit the company name. I stole this, plagiarized this from my office, the training center. This is what we use for our students when they come in. Phone number, state of residence. Number 1, have you traveled internationally by plane, cruise ship, or vehicle since March 9th? Yeah or nay? If so, where have you been? We want to know about it. Number 2, have you traveled outside the state of residence since March 9th? Yes or no? Number 3, have you traveled to or returned from New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Louisiana, Washington, California, Michigan, Illinois, or Florida since March 9th? We'd like to know about that. Have you traveled or returned from any other city, state, or county, or location in the government entity or official has either banned entry or required any form of quarantine? If you've been to Florida or you've been to New York where they quarantine in a hotspot area, we want to know about that. We'd like to be aware of that. Have you felt feverish or experienced a respiratory symptom such as coughing, shortness of breath, or some sore throat since March 9th? We probably all have, and that may be a yes. That will not maybe omit you from working the Mass. This time of year, we have a thing called allergies. And if you look on the news, you know, moles are high, trees are high, everything blooming out. I got allergies, so we might, we could work with that, but it's not a big showstopper. Have you self-monitored your temperature today before arriving at our facility? Yes or no? And omit number 8 altogether. Again, I forgot to wipe that out. In the bottom over here, it says sign your name and date. Then the last little box to the far right says body temperature. Once you fill out your form right here, I would like to have you or your partner, somebody in your training room, take the sacristy take your temperature. Okay? Taking the temperature by a temperature gun. This in here will be available, and there'll be another one if the church is provided, will be in the sacristy as well. To take the temperature, it's not like I can shoot Gable from here and get a reading on him. Okay? To take a temperature, it needs to be 1.5 inches from the forehead. 98 degrees. If I take it any further away from that, it gets colder. 95 degrees. He's going off as we speak. All right, so it should be 1.5 inches from the forehead. Have that person take the temperature, record it on your paper for us. Once you fill out your paperwork, if you're taking your temperature at that point, there'll be a folder or somewhere. Put your paperwork in there, and the church will hold on to that, and put it on file. Any questions on that part? Anybody? Okay. All right, very good.
Harold,
Yes.
so what if your body temperature is over the 100.0?
Okay, at that point, we will ask you, are you sure? At that time, man, my temperature's up, elevated. You may re-weight. There's 2 temperature guns. You may take your temperature with the other temperature gun,
Okay.
or wait a couple of minutes and retake it. If it remains over 100, at that point, we would ask that you would leave, quarantine yourself.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Good question, very good question. Okay,
And this is for us to show people that we're putting due diligence into this, right? Because we all know that there's certain people in every circumstance that'll be like, here's the rules, but this is us showing that we are taking the best care of our brothers and sisters that we can in this. And we're not just willy-nilly letting whoever serve on the altar. You know, also, should something occur, should one of our parishioners come down with COVID-19, and they say, oh, I was at Mass, I bet I got it at Mass. We can show in a way that the people who are most likely to have interactions, those who are going to be the ushers, the altar servers, lectors, extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion, etc., have taken the appropriate precautions. And so it's a protection of liability for us.
very good. Thank you, Father. And that's exactly what this is all about, is protecting us. Very, very, very important these times. Now before you, you have a bottle of hand sanitizer. This exact bottle will be in the sacristy. After you take your temperature, do your paperwork, spray your hands. Get some sanitizer, okay? At first it's a little bit sticky, but it goes away. It smells a little bit funny, but it goes away. It's all natural. I have a safety data sheet on the products in case you're wondering what's going to irritate me. I'm sensitive to some chemicals, whatever. It's 100% natural products that's in there, okay? So we can provide that for you as well. Once you spray your hands at that point, you're now ready to take an active role in the Mass.
And for those who are ushers, we're going to be assigning a bottle of this to each of you. And as people walk into church, we'll just ask, hey, can we spritz your hands with sanitizer? Again, just trying to minimize possibility for contact. I'm sure that there will be some who will say, oh, but I have my own and it smells like coconuts and whatever. That's fine, but we want to use this because we have control of the alcohol percentage in this. We know that the percentage is the appropriate. Whereas the stuff that you buy at the store that smells really good may not have the high enough level of alcohol to actually kill germs.
Very true. Now, for ushers again, your job titles are really going to change a whole lot. Things are going to change because ushers in the past, welcome to St. Stephen's, welcome to St. Stephen's, open the door, visit in the back a little bit. Now the usher has a very more active role in the Mass. Not only will you be spraying hands out, but you will also be handing out masks. If they show up at Mass without a mask, these will be the masks we'll be using right here. It's a trifold. We have several of them, about 500, 600, 800 of them up here. So if they show up without a mask, we would encourage you give them a mask. Who wears a mask? What age do we put a mask on? Who? 2 years and older? No. 2 years. 2 years of age and older needs to be in a mask. Okay? All right. So at ushers in, here's your mask. Ushers will also have another active part in maybe helping assign seating. Not at the very beginning of the Mass, because the church is using every other row, so they may need to assist with families that do not crowd together. I'm not in an immediate family, but I'm going to sit beside Rodney because I like him and I can tell him jokes and I can gig him during the Mass. No. At this point, if families can be sit together, that are immediate families that live underneath the household, after that it's a 6 foot distance after that in the pews. Every other pew is closed. Okay? So social distancing is very important as well. Any questions on that? Yes.
What if they refuse a mask?
What if they refuse a mask? We would encourage them to wear a mask. If they do not wear a mask at this point, we would have to ask them to leave.
I have to tell them to go.
The ushers would?
The priest, the priest, yeah.
What if your 2-year-old won't keep his mask on?
They don't have to come to Mass. That's the reality that we're facing. The bishop is going hardcore on this, so, yeah.
What if you have nowhere to leave them?
Well, that's where the Catholic faithful still remain dispensed from the obligation to attend Mass. We are also going to be recording the Mass on YouTube, like we have been doing for the last 2 months. And it will be up for people to see if they cannot handle with the little ones or with older ones even, you know. I've had some parishioners say, well, if I have to wear a mask, I'm not coming. I'll see you later then. This is taking care of one another.
What do we do if we preach capacity?
Then again, we will tell them the time of the next Mass, and we will also share with them that Mass will be up on the parish website.
Something else that was not mentioned is the cry room is going to be special for people 65 years of age and older, or those that are immunodeficient, whereas normally they may have been reserved for children that are having trouble keeping their mask on or fidgeting during Mass. So we're trying to keep a special area for those that do choose to come to Mass, but again, it is available online for anyone who is uncomfortable, even with a mask, still returning to Mass.
Yes.
What's the capacity for the cry room?
Not much.
Is it gonna be every other row in the cry room?
It's
too?
every other row of the cry room as well. And
It's
six
six
feet,
feet apart.
you know, and those pews aren't big. I mean, I think they're 10-foot pews, so.
Yes.
So if when you come to Mass, will they start at the front and work toward the back? So
Yes,
there's-
ma'am.
Okay, so the ushers will be telling people where they need to sit?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Because, again, we don't want people slipping under the rope. This is my pew, and it's roped up. You know, the reality is, hey, we've got them staggered in such a way so as to maintain the social distancing to the best of our ability. And so we're gonna try to keep that going.
Very good. Any other questions? Very good questions. Okay, at this time, we're gonna begin talking about the procedures of the Mass. Congregation is coming in, they've been seated. You see now that the ushers are very busy. We may need more ushers than we normally have to help assist with the mask, hand sanitizing, and seating arrangements. So, once we come in and we begin Mass, I will turn it over to Chad and Father, and they'll talk about what's gonna be going on and how we will conduct the Mass therein. Okay?
Sure. During communion, we will be doing by the hand only. A lot of people have asked, do we still wear our mask during communion? And the answer to that is yes. Do we have to keep our 6-foot distancing? And the answer to that is also yes. Communion's going to be a little more timely, but a way to keep us in order and in compliance, we're going to have to go row by row like we do by alternating. Two of the things that we're doing to help with this is for the worries of people with sanitation, each communion station will have one of these hand sanitizer bottles that y'all have seen. So in case someone comes in contact with the person administering that Holy Eucharist, they can still then sanitize. Another thing that we're going to do a little bit differently is instead of having 2 rows flow towards the front of the church, 1 row will come to the front of the church and another row will come towards the back of the church to try to offset people standing side by side as they go down.
So if this is the church, this side will come forward, this side will actually start from the back and go to the back. And then the 2 side aisles will come straight up and they'll have Eucharistic ministries there.
The side aisles will remain the same.
And I assume the ushers are gonna be trying to control all that?
Yes.
Will people know that ahead of time though? Because otherwise, somebody on the side, in the center, up in the front, just out of habit, they're gonna get up and
We'll be announcing it.
Okay.
Okay, Chad, can you back up to that computer going through the mass?
Yes, sir.
The next point at the mass would be, taking up the collection, that the congregation would be involved in
Yes.
at that point, okay?
And that will be different as well, in that we will have to do a procession forward to do that. Because we can't pass the basket from hand to hand to hand, okay? So what we're gonna do is we will have a central point with the larger baskets, where people can come forward, put their donation, their envelope, what have you in there. It will make sure that it already has the tamper evident bag inside, so that we'll cut down the handling on that as well. And so we'll have to have the ushers to do that as well. There won't be a procession with the gifts. Those will be up on the credence table, so those who are mass coordinators will need to make sure that everything is set up back in the back, okay? And again, with this, it's gonna take a little bit of time, and we're gonna have fumbles, and we're gonna have the moments of, wait, what? And that's okay. We're working through this together. The other thing is I know that people have expressed some concern about capacity and such. Right now, I know, for example, our friends over at St. Anne's, they started last weekend. They were able to get their supplies in a timely manner. And so that they started up on that. And I think they said the largest mass they had was 80 people. 80? 80. So if we're looking at those sorts of numbers, I don't foresee us having a huge issue. You know, I'm not expecting a Ash Wednesday sort of crowd the first week that we're opening. I really don't. Because there's going to be plenty of people who are like, I don't want to wear a mask. I'm afraid to go out with other people. And that's fine. That's why we are continuing to be dispensed from the obligation to attend the Sunday Mass. And why we are also going to be putting all this up on YouTube as well. When it comes time for the reception of Holy Communion, those who will be distributing Holy Communion, it is important that we are conscientious about what we are doing, okay? Because we want to make sure that we're not making contact with a person's hands when we're handing them the Blessed Eucharist, okay? We don't want to put our thumb in somebody's palm. And if we do, then we need to go ahead and hit the sanitizer. You know, simple thing of turn, set the ciborium down, turn backwards, spray our hands, go back to it. Okay. We want to do this, you know, in a conscientious way, because some of our people are very well-meaning. You know, I know that I've had people in the past, you know, oh, thank you very much, Father. Again, time to sanitize. And so part of that is being conscientious about who and how we're touching. Okay. Likewise, if someone presents themselves and refuses to receive on the hand, you are not to deny them. Okay. Simply distribute Holy Communion on the tongue. That is not the place to have the argument. Right? We can talk to people after Mass about this, but that's not the place or the time. We are not going to be encouraging them, okay? But if someone starts to make an issue of it, then fine, we'll give you Holy Communion, but then we will also disinfect our hands immediately following, okay? Finally, with the dismissal of masks, I know for myself, part of our community is so great about sticking around and visiting after Sunday Mass. And that's a good and wonderful thing, but during this time, we're going to discourage that. We're going to encourage everybody to go ahead and go on home. Because again, congregating in large groups, that social distancing becomes non-existent. We know that whole press of people, right? You know, and so, you know, you may even consider the alternate exits of going through the prayer courtyard or going through the cry room to exit through the building. We will not be having coffee and donuts. I know, my favorite part of the weekend too, but that's okay. Also, we will not be having the nursery open, again, for obvious concerns. So those are just a couple of things. Do y'all have any questions on any of this?
No peace, right?
No sign of peace. So we will do the Mass. There will be no holding of the hands at the Our Father. And so we will be doing Mass just as we've been doing on the videos, where, you know, the peace of the Lord be with you and with your spirit, and we go directly into the Lamb of God. And so that'll be good for you to be ready on that cue, because there won't be that large gap that there normally is. Also, with those who are singing in the choir, we are going to require that there be that 6-foot spacing. So your choirs may be a little bit smaller, and that's okay. And yes, they will have to keep their mask on while they're singing. Yes, sir.
Will we have confessional before Mass?
We're going to try to do so. We're trying to figure out how to do that because we're still supposed to be using the outdoor confessionals. And so what we'll probably be focusing on is having it on Saturday afternoon for sure. We may not have it before Mass simply because of the fact of there's a lot more prep work that we need to be doing before Mass.
Can you discuss daily Mass, please?
Daily Mass will begin on Monday morning, and Monday evening. We'll be under the same strictures, okay? So same 6-foot spacing, every other pew, etc. We will be in the big church. So, yes, Megan.
Father, are you counting on the previous volunteer Mass coordinators to open the church and set up for Mass?
Yes.
Okay, because I got some text messages from people who weren't included in any of the emails because they're not EMs, etc. And they didn't know if there was going to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have everybody's emails. I mean, I do what I can.
And on daily Mass, they fill these out as well.
At least for the Mass coordinator, yeah.
So if they're not wearing their mask properly, what do we do?
Again, if they flat out refuse to wear a mask, we can say, you know, look, the bishop has said that this is what's required. If you're not willing to do that, we will ask you to go ahead and go home, and we'll direct them to the parish website.
But like properly, that's what
Again, you know, where do you draw the line, right? You know, if someone has it at the point of their nose instead of all the way at the bridge of their nose, are you gonna, wait, you need to pull that up half an inch. But at the same time, if you have somebody standing there like this, you know, all the time, you know, I think it's appropriate for us to say, you know, hey, your mask. You know, instead of saying, you need to put on your mask, sucker. No, you just say, oh, hey, careful your mask. You know, that tonality difference makes all the difference.
Maybe, I don't know, Rosa, right? I was wondering, maybe we can make a video of how to properly use a mask and put it in our Facebook page? Because some people may just do it out of ignorance.
Yeah.
I mean, they mean different, like if you're, you know, coming from a medical field, if you're
Yeah.
sick, you know, you're trying to, you know, the color out and, you know, stuff like that, but, so, I just wanted to know.
And that's the thing is, you know, again, This is more of protection for other people, right? Than it is a shield for us. You know, if your mask is hot and humid, it's because it's doing its work. At the same time, you know, you have to make sure that you have appropriately sized masks. Me, I've got a ginormous melon. You know, and you notice this mask is just barely hanging on to that point of the chin. You know, so, you know, that's the thing, you know, I've got a couple of bigger ones and I'm saving them for the Sunday masses. You know, so, you know, that's the thing is we want to be gentle in how we're dealing with people. You know. Yes, ma'am.
Two questions. Are we gonna have the same mass schedules that we've had in the past?
Yes, we will have the same mass schedule, 5 p.m., 9 a.m., 12 noon in Spanish, and 5 p.m.
Are we gonna have a sign-up sheet for the ones who are gonna help us with the
That would be the most appropriate way, or if you could just check in and see if there's help needed.
What you said is people come up to receive communion, keep the mask on.
Yes, you'll come up until it's time to receive. And you're giving to me, let's say. And so, at that moment, they should pull down on the mask. And again, we'll announce this at the mass. Because I've seen one of my brother priests, I won't say who because we're recording. But when they came up for communion, they were wearing the mask just to try to show people how to do it, you know, and to be good examples. When they came up to receive from the chalice, you have to pull it down. You know, or hook it over you.
A follow-up on that, I know that we've been trained that typically without a mask, that we make sure that the host is consumed before walking away.
Yeah, generally speaking, that's a
We
good
may have-
idea.
We may have some that want to walk away with the host doing.
Yeah, no, we'll have them take their mask off, receive, and then put their mask up and go back up on the way, so. And again, we'll be mentioning these things at the first couple of weeks of worth of masses.
And to add to that point, if I may, when I spoke to Father very first about this a couple of weeks ago, putting our plan together, at first it was spoken of that the EMs, the Eucharistic ministers, may be required to wear gloves to do that. I thought, oh, that's gonna be a nightmare. They since then relieved them, do not have to wear gloves, and Father has graciously, he will be using the larger ciboriums. I got a big paw, and it's hard to reach in those smaller ciboriums without dropping one or, so that is correct, is that right?
Yeah, we won't be using the intinctions set. We will be using the older silver set that we've had from before St. Stephen started doing intinction. And again, it will only be under the one species of consecrated bread. Okay.
And also, one other thing, I think the patents, we are refraining from using the servers for that.
Yes, we're asking if we could, mass coordinators, if you can make sure that we have extraordinary ministers paired with someone to hold the paten underneath their head. And this is because we're only going to have 2 altar servers at each mass, and we're asking that only the older altar servers serve. Why? Because their attention span is a little bit more. You know, a 7-year-old, you kind of have to shuttle them through the mass, and this is a time where we really want, you know, to be paying attention to what we're doing. And so we'll be having the older ones working on that. To that end, Miss Ann is here, and she will be meeting with any of the altar servers that are here for the training, because you'll be utilizing your own vestment, and you'll be taking that home and washing it, so that it is disinfected between masses. Okay?
So the 2 altar servers, though, they will be able to serve as paten holders, right?
They can serve as patens, yes, but we will need additional ones.
Yeah, but then we'll need 3 more then.
At least. And you know, one of the things to realize with the paten is that, again, some of our altar servers kind of fall into a bad habit of when someone comes forward to receive on the hand, they automatically just put the paten under the hand and that's where it stays. But really, the paten is supposed to follow the host. From the ciborium, all the way across into the hands and until it's consumed. So we want to, that's our best chance of catching it should there be some fumble fingers by monkey paw Father Rodney, or, you know, someone gets nervous about holding their hands. I've seen that happen as well. So that's where we want to have those patents ready to help. Gabriel?
I received a text message from part members asking about the hymnals. Is there a specific procedure you want us to have about the hymnals?
Well, all the hymnals are out of the church, so one of the things that you should do in your choice of music is choose things that people know.
Okay.
Without having to go to a hymnal, because we don't have access to those during phase one.
Okay.
Likewise, there will be no missalettes in the pew, okay? If needs be, that's one of the few times I'm gonna think that it's okay for you to have your phone out. You know, if you're like me, just a little hard of hearing, to have an app that has the mass readings and to follow along, that would be okay.
No bulletins as well, correct?
Right, we will not be handing out bulletins as well. Those will be up on the website.
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm assuming that since Daily Mass will be in the big church, you'll be using mic.
Yes,
Thank you.
as long as I remember. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have some, wipes or anything that we can wipe down our area when we're done? before we-
Yes, we will be getting wipes in, and that's one of the things that we're also gonna ask to help, is at the end of Mass, if you can grab a couple of wipes, take one pew each and go through it and wipe down the pew, okay? Because if we get 4 or 5 of us doing it, it goes pretty quick. And that's just, and we don't have to wipe every nook and cranny. Really, we're looking at the places where people touch, right? The back of the pew in front of them, and maybe the pew right behind where if they, like me, put their hand up on the back of the pew. And we just want to do those with a simple wipe down. From there, between the masses, we're going to be having a Ozone disinfecting program. And Daryl, do you want to speak a little bit about that? Because you know better.
I'll refer you to
Chad?
Sure. St. Stephen's has acquired a couple of ozone generating machines, and one of the benefits of ozone is that it takes no chemicals. It takes the natural air that we're breathing right now, purifies it, kills viruses, mold, insects, things like that, very small types of life. Over a short period of time, it converts naturally back to the normal air that we're breathing now. So this is done by a machine, and it's going to be dissipated, sprayed into the air so that it can spread all across the pews, the places that we may miss from touching, that sort of thing, and disinfect any chance of not just COVID, but flu-like diseases or anything like that as well. Any questions on that?
Any questions on the ozone machine?
Does that need to happen when there's no people inside?
That is correct. It will happen between masses and after mass at the end of the day when everyone has left.
And we'll be doing calibrations Friday and Saturday to figure out just how long we need to have it to get it to the parts per million that we have to have. So the thing with ozone is you notice how it's always, the air always smells better after a thunderstorm? It's because of ozone. When we have lightning, that smell that we call the smell of rain is actually ozone. It's the electricity from the lightning strikes converting O2 to O3, and that's what makes it smell so clear and why everything drops out of the atmosphere. You know, it's not smoggy after rainfall, not primarily because of the water, because we've all been in rainstorms that were actually mud storms, right? But it's because of that ozone that is taking everything out of the, particulating it out of the atmosphere. So that's what we're going to be using, and we're looking forward to that.
We will actually be up here tomorrow. Our machines came in,
Excellent.
and we will be, with your blessings, we'll hopefully be up here tomorrow. We're doing studies, sanctuary, maintenance chapel, the gym here, the ballroom, choir room, parlor, figuring out estimation of time and how long we have to run these machines to achieve our goal. So if you want to come out and see the machine, you're welcome to. We'll be up here pretty much most of the day tomorrow from about 9:30 till we get done.
It's very important to realize that people can't be in the church while this is going on.
Correct.
Okay, because ozone is heavier than, O3 is heavier than O2, so it settles on the ground. And we have to get a lot of it up into the air to get it to circulate and such. And as such, it's not the best thing to breathe pure O3, because it sits lower in your lungs and can make you have some issues there, so. We will be running those machines when people are not inside.
Nailed that one, Father.
You did.
It's the nerd in me coming out.
They're very effective. They're proven so far to kill COVID. It's what we felt was a very non-labor intensive method, something that could be done very easily, and something that we felt, knowing it's a guarantee, that this will help protect our parishioners.
And it won't fry electronics.
That's correct. It will not harm any of the electronics. It will not cause a bleach color to the pews or the cloth, or it doesn't leave any residue or anything like that.
All right, any other questions? All right, I just want to thank you all for your time and the care that you're showing for your brothers and sisters and coming here and participating with us in this. I thank you in advance for, helping to spread the good word that we're doing all that we can to make the public ministry of the Mass a safe experience for everyone. I know that there's a lot of opinions out there. And a lot of people who think, mask and disinfectant, blah, blah, blah. I've heard it, trust me. But it's important for us to say, hey, our bishop has asked us to do this, and even if we are brave and bold and think that I'm not worried about getting sick for the sake of the gospel, we also have to keep in mind that we're our brothers and sisters' keeper. And that it's not that, hey, I'm not going to get sick, but it may be my mom. It may be the infant that I go to see to baptize. And that's where we are taking the better part, in that we're not afraid of being sick, we're not afraid of dying, we're not afraid of opening up the masses. But we want to do it in such a way that we don't put other people at risk. So thank you for your time, thank you for your attention, and God bless you, and we're looking forward to seeing y'all this weekend. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.